Day 15 of the evacuation arrived with perfect precision. Commander Beth Torres watched from her ship's bridge as another convoy of refugee vessels departed Earth's orbit. The blue planet below looked strangely empty. Millions of lights that once covered the continents had gone dark. "Status on Sector 7? Beth asked her communications officer. "Last transport just cleared lunar orbit, Commander. Tokyo evacuation is complete." Beth marked another city off her list. In 2 weeks, humanity had emptied the largest population centers on Earth. No riots, no chaos, no one left behind. The evacuation moved like a perfectly planned dance. Lieutenant Alex Johnson coordinated the military escort ships. His small fleet of fighters surrounded each refugee convoy. They watched for council ships that might attack early, but the alien fleets remained at their positions beyond Pluto. Convoy 12 is approaching the jump point, Alex reported. "Do we have clearance?" "Affirmative. Send them to Rally Point Alpha." The convoy jumped to hyperspace in flashes of blue light. Another 100,000 humans had escaped to safety. On Earth's surface, the emptying continued. Engineer Danny Clark supervised the final demolition teams. They removed everything useful from Earth's cities: power generators, medical equipment, computer cores, even the soil from hydroponic farms. "Leave nothing they can use," Danny told his teams. "If we can't take it, we destroy it." His crews worked day and night. They dismantled orbital elevators. They stripped mining platforms. They even removed the communications satellites. Earth would be empty when humanity left. In Geneva, Dr. Sarah Kim managed the refugee database. Her computers tracked every human. In the evacuation, families, singles, children, elderly, no one was forgotten. "We're ahead of schedule," Sarah reported to President Morrison. 90% of Earth's population is off-world. Morrison felt amazed and proud. His people had done the impossible. They were saving an entire species through organization and cooperation. "What about the outer colonies?" Morrison asked. "Mars is empty. Luna Base is closed. The asteroid miners finished yesterday. Only Earth and the research stations remain." Captain Ryan Davis commanded the last wave of merchant ships. His vessels had made dozens of trips to the rally points beyond Council space. The old cargo haulers worked harder than they ever had before. "My ship is falling apart," Captain Bill Turner reported over the comm. His ancient freighter had saved 50,000 people, but the engines were failing. "Can you make one more run?" Ryan asked. "I'll try. These refugees deserve better than dying in space." Bill's ship limped toward the jump point with its final load of evacuees. The old captain had never flown so many dangerous missions, but he had never had such an important job. Across the galaxy, alien observers watched the evacuation with growing amazement. On Altair Prime, Elder Delmar studied the refugee convoys through his telescope. "How many humans have passed through this sector?" Delmar asked his aide. "Over 2 million this week, Elder. Their organization is remarkable." "And their ships?" "Old but well-maintained. They waste nothing. Every vessel carries maximum passengers." Delmar had seen many species evacuate their worlds. Most fled in panic. Ships crashed into each other. Families were separated. Thousands died in the chaos. Humans were different. Their evacuation looked like a military operation. Every ship knew where to go. Every family stayed together. Every child was accounted for. "The Council calls them dangerous," Delmar said quietly. "But I see only impressive discipline." In the Viridian trade centers, Commerce Director Yithlan calculated the economic impact. Human merchant vessels were disappearing from trade routes. Their cargo ships no longer delivered goods between worlds. "We're losing 30% of our freight capacity," Yithlan's assistant reported. "And 40% of our most reliable customers," Yithlan added. "This evacuation will cost us trillions in lost revenue." "The Council says it's necessary for galactic peace." Yithlan looked at the empty trade schedules. "Peace is expensive if it destroys our economy." But the council leaders remained confident. Chancellor Vextar toured his flagship with visiting dignitaries. Alien reporters followed him through the ship's corridors. "The human evacuation proves our wisdom," Vextar told the cameras. "They submit to superior authority. Other species will learn from this example." War Chief Thraknon felt less satisfied. His warriors had prepared for glorious battle. Instead, they watched empty space while humans ran away like scared animals. "This is not honorable," Thraknon complained to his officers. "Warriors should fight, not flee. The humans choose survival over honor, War Chief. Survival without honor is meaningless." But Thraknon was wrong about human honor. On the bridge of the last military transport, Captain Nick Baker prepared for the final departure. His ship carried Earth's government leaders and military commanders. "All civilians are clear," Baker reported. "We are the last humans in the Sol system." President Morrison stood beside Baker, looking at Earth through the bridge windows. The planet looked strange and quiet. City lights no longer sparkled in the darkness. The orbital platforms were gone. Even the moon bases were empty. "Take us home," Morrison said quietly. Baker activated the engines. The transport moved slowly away from Earth. Behind them, the blue world grew smaller and dimmer. "Where is home now?" Baker asked. "Wherever we go together," Morrison replied. The ship reached the jump point as the sun rose over Earth's empty continents. The last human vessel prepared to leave the solar system that had been humanity's home for millions of years. "Jump drive." "Ready, sir," the navigation officer reported. "Execute jump," Baker ordered. The ship disappeared in a flash of blue light. Earth was alone. Chancellor Vextar received the report minutes later. "The last human ship has departed Sol system," his communications officer announced. "Excellent. Deploy occupation forces to secure the system." Korhan warships moved toward Earth's orbit. They found empty space stations and silent planets. No hidden weapons, no booby traps, no last-minute resistance, just emptiness. War Chief Thraknon landed troops on Earth's surface. His warriors searched the abandoned cities. They found empty buildings and clean streets. The humans had even taken their garbage when they left. "This is wrong," Thraknon told his scouts. "Where are the hidden weapons? Where are the secret bases?" "There are none, War Chief. The planet is completely empty. No species abandons their homeworld this completely, but humans had done exactly that. They left nothing useful behind. No technology for the Council to steal. No resources for them to exploit, just an empty planet with breathable air and drinkable water. The Council had won a hollow victory. They controlled a solar system with nothing in it. Meanwhile, beyond the edge of Council space, humanity began to build something new. The refugee fleets gathered at Rally Point Alpha, a star system with no name and no alien presence. Admiral Lisa Martinez arrived with the last convoy. She looked at the thousands of ships filling the space around a yellow star. 12 billion humans floated in metal boxes between the planets. "What now?" someone asked over the fleet comm. "Now we build a new home," Morrison replied. "We build it better than before." The Council thought they had removed a problem. Instead, they had created something far more dangerous than they could imagine. They had given humanity freedom to grow without limits. And humanity was about to show the galaxy what they could really do when no one was watching. 5 years after leaving Earth, humanity had built something remarkable. Admiral Patricia Hughes stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station, now orbiting the capital world of the Free Terran Federation. Below her, the planet Hope sparkled, with city lights that rivaled old Earth. "Daily report, Admiral," her aide said, handing her a data tablet. Patricia read the numbers with satisfaction. "Population growth rate? 15% annually across all colonies. We now have 47 settled worlds. Industrial output? Up 30% from last year. Our manufacturing capacity exceeds what we had in the Sol system." "And scientific advancement?" Dr. Michelle Adams reports breakthrough discoveries every month. We're decades ahead of Council technology now. Patricia smiled. The exile had been the best thing that ever happened to humanity. Dr. Michelle Adams worked in her research complex on the planet Discovery. Her team had unlimited resources and no political restrictions. They were revolutionizing science itself. The new fusion reactors are 90% more efficient than Council designs, Michelle told her research partner, Dr. Robert Kim. We can power entire worlds with units the size of small buildings. What about the medical advances? We've cured 17 diseases that killed billions across the galaxy. Our life extension treatments could add 50 years to any species' lifespan. Robert looked at the medical data with amazement. The Council called our research dangerous, but we're saving more lives now than ever before, because we're not limited by their fears and politics anymore. Michelle had worked under Council oversight for 20 years. They restricted her research at every step. They claimed certain knowledge was too dangerous for younger species. Without those restrictions, human science had exploded into new frontiers. Governor Chris Martinez managed the daily operations of the Federation from the capital city of New Geneva on Hope. His office overlooked parks where human children played alongside young aliens from species that had joined the Human Alliance. Immigration report? Martinez asked his staff. 3,000 new applications this week, his aide replied. Mostly Altarians and Viridians fleeing the economic collapse. Any security concerns? None. The background checks are thorough. These people genuinely want to escape Council space. Martinez approved the applications. The Federation welcomed anyone who sought freedom and prosperity. They had learned from the Council's mistakes about treating different species fairly. Captain Frank Thompson commanded the exploration fleet that pushed deeper into unknown space. His ships had discovered dozens of new worlds and made contact with 3 previously unknown species. Survey report from the Gamma sector? Frank asked his science officer. 17 habitable worlds confirmed. 2 show signs of primitive life. The rest are ready for immediate colonization. Any signs of hostile species? Negative, Captain. This entire region appears to be empty of advanced civilizations. Frank studied the star charts. Humanity had found a vast region of space with no competition and unlimited resources. They could expand for centuries without meeting another advanced species. Set course for the next system. We have more worlds to explore. Meanwhile, in Council space, the situation grew desperate. On Altair Prime, Elder Delmar faced angry crowds demanding his resignation. His government had failed to solve the food crisis that had lasted 3 years. The people are starving, Delmar's security chief reported. Riots broke out in 12 cities last night. What do they want? The same thing they always want. Bring back the humans. Delmar had tried everything else. Emergency food imports from other Council worlds. Rationing programs. Agricultural research projects. Nothing worked. Only human agricultural science could save his people. Contact the human refugees, Delmar ordered. Sir, the Council forbids any communication with the exiled humans. My people are more important than Council rules. Delmar's secret message reached the Federation within days. Governor Martinez brought the request to President Morrison, who had been re-elected twice since the Exodus. The Altarians want our help with their food crisis, Martinez reported. What do you think? Morrison asked. Their leader seems genuine. Delmar opposed our evacuation from the beginning. And our people? How do they feel about helping Council species? Mixed reactions. Some want revenge. Others remember that individual aliens were kind to us. Morrison thought about the choice carefully. Humanity had the power to save millions of lives, but they also had every reason to let their former oppressors suffer. Send them agricultural specialists and medical supplies, Morrison decided, but make it clear this is humanitarian aid, not political reconciliation. The Federation's response amazed Delmar. Human ships arrived within weeks carrying food, medicine, and technical experts. They asked for nothing in return except permission to help. Dr. Sarah White led the agricultural team that saved Altarian crops from the spreading fungal disease. Her treatments worked perfectly. Within months, food production returned to normal levels. "Why are you helping us?" Delmar asked Sarah during her final report. "Because it's the right thing to do," Sarah replied. "Innocent people shouldn't suffer for their leaders' mistakes." Delmar felt ashamed of his species' role in humanity's exile. These refugees had more honor than the council that expelled them. Similar aid missions reached other worlds in secret. Human doctors cured the Nexari plague. Human engineers restored power to failing Korhan cities. Human traders established new supply routes for desperate colonies. But the Federation helped selectively. They saved lives but ignored governments. They aided individuals but not institutions. They showed mercy without showing weakness. The contrast became impossible to ignore. Human refugees were advancing faster than ever before. They built better cities, developed superior technology, and created more prosperous societies. Meanwhile, the Council civilizations fell further behind each year. Commerce Director Yithlan of the Viridian Trade Consortium had seen enough. His people were suffering under economic collapse while humans thrived in exile. The old trade leader made a desperate decision. "I'm defecting to the Federation," Yithlan announced to his shocked staff. "Sir, that's treason against the Council. The Council destroyed our civilization. I won't watch my people starve for political pride." Yithlan's defection triggered a wave of similar departures. Alien scientists, engineers, traders, and doctors fled Council space to join the Federation. They brought knowledge, skills, and desperate gratitude. The Federation welcomed them all. Unlike the Council's rigid hierarchy, the Federation offered equal opportunities to every species. Talent mattered more than genetics. Innovation was rewarded regardless of its source. By year 5 of the exile, the Federation had become a multi-species civilization that surpassed the Council in every measure. Better technology, stronger economy, more efficient government, and higher quality of life for all citizens. Captain Helen Ross commanded the Federation's new capital ships, vessels that could destroy entire Council fleets. But the Federation didn't build these ships for conquest. They built them for exploration and defense. "Long-range sensor report?" Helen asked her tactical officer. "No hostile contacts in our space. The Council fleets remain in their own territory." "Good. We have better things to do than fight old wars." Helen's ship led a convoy toward the Galactic Rim, where human explorers had found a cluster of uninhabited systems perfect for new colonies. The Federation was expanding in all directions, claiming empty space that no one else wanted. President Morrison reviewed the Federation's achievements from his office on Hope. In 5 years, humanity had built a civilization that made their old life under Council rule look primitive and restrictive. "We're stronger than we ever were on Earth," Morrison told Admiral Hughes. "The Council thought they were removing a threat," Hughes replied. "Instead, they removed their own limitations on our growth." "Do you think they realize their mistake yet?" "Some of them do. That's why we're getting so many defectors." Morrison looked at the reports of alien refugees seeking Federation citizenship. The same species that had cheered humanity's exile now begged to join human society. Should we feel sorry for them? "We should feel grateful," Hughes said. "They gave us the greatest gift possible. They set us free." The Federation continued to grow and prosper while the Council continued to collapse. Humanity had learned that sometimes the best victory was simply being allowed to reach their full potential, and their potential was greater than anyone had imagined. 3 months after the last human ship left Earth, cracks began to show in the Galactic Council's perfect victory. Commerce Director Yithlan stared at the trade reports on his desk. The numbers made no sense. "Explain this to me again," Yithlan said to his chief economist. "Shipping costs are up 40% across all sectors," the economist replied nervously. "Transit times have doubled. 3 major trade routes have collapsed completely. How is this possible? We removed one species from the galaxy. That one species handled 60% of our interstellar logistics. Ythlan rubbed his forehead with 2 of his 4 hands. The Viridian Trade Consortium had supported the human evacuation. Now they were paying for that mistake with falling profits and angry customers. On the agricultural world of Ceres Prime, farmer Zeknal watched his crops die. The strange blue fungus had appeared 2 weeks ago. It spread through his grain fields, like wildfire. Without treatment, his entire harvest would be lost. "Call the human agricultural specialists," Zeknal told his foreman. "Sir, there are no human specialists anymore. They all left with the evacuation." Zeknal felt his heart sink. Human agricultural scientists had saved Ceres Prime from 3 different crop diseases over the past decade. Their knowledge of soil chemistry was unmatched in the galaxy. "Then who do we call?" "I don't know, sir. Similar conversations happened on 100 farming worlds. Crop diseases that humans had controlled for decades now spread unchecked. Food production dropped by 20% across the galaxy. In the Nexari capital, diplomat Quindal reviewed reports from across council space. Her staff had compiled a list of problems that seemed unrelated, but followed the same pattern. Medical equipment failures on Korhan mining stations. One aide reported. The life support systems are breaking down. Only human technicians knew how to repair them. Communication blackouts in the outer territories, another aide added. The relay satellites use human-designed protocols. Local engineers cannot maintain them. Power grid failures on 12 industrial worlds. The fusion reactors were built with human technology. Quindal had celebrated when the humans left. She thought the galaxy would be safer without their chaotic influence. Now she wondered if safety was worth this price. On Earth, War Chief Thraknon toured the empty cities with growing frustration. His warriors had expected to find advanced weapons and secret technologies. Instead, they found empty buildings and silent streets. The humans took everything, his chief engineer reported. Power, plants, computer systems, even the furniture. This planet is useless to us. What about their military bases? Empty shells. They removed all equipment and destroyed what they could not carry. Thraknon kicked a piece of debris across the street. The great victory felt hollow. His warriors had nothing to show for their conquest except an empty world that needed massive investment to be useful again. Meanwhile, far beyond council space, humanity was learning to thrive. Dr. Emma Watson worked in her new laboratory on Haven Station, the first permanent human settlement in the Kepler sector. Her research team had made remarkable progress without council oversight. "The quantum resonance readings are perfect," Emma told her assistant. "This new engine design could cut hyperspace travel time in half." "The Council's technology restrictions always held us back," her assistant replied. "Now we can build whatever we can imagine." Emma smiled. For decades, the Council had limited human research. They claimed certain technologies were too dangerous for younger species. Without those restrictions, human scientists were making breakthroughs every week. Captain Steve Rodriguez commanded the defense ships protecting the human settlements. His small fleet patrolled the Kepler sector borders. They watched for Council, scouts who might track the human refugees. "Any alien activity?" Rodriguez asked his sensor operator. "Negative, Captain. We're still alone out here." "Good. The colonists need time to build without interference." The human settlements grew rapidly. Engineers who had once maintained council infrastructure now designed their own cities. Farmers who had fed alien worlds now grew food for human families. Doctors who had treated multiple species now focused on advancing human medicine. On New Geneva Station, now orbiting Haven's largest moon, Admiral Lisa Martinez coordinated the expansion. The station served as the temporary capital of free humanity. "Colony Ship 7 has found a suitable world," Martinez reported to President Morrison. "Good water, breathable atmosphere, and no signs of intelligent life. How many does that make? 15 habitable worlds so far. We could spread across this entire sector if we wanted. Morrison looked at the star charts showing human expansion. In just 3 months, they had established more colonies than in the previous 5 years under Council rule. We're growing faster than ever, Morrison said, because no one is stopping us anymore. Back in Council space, the problems multiplied. The Altarian food distribution network collapsed when human cargo ships stopped making deliveries. Viridian, banks struggled to process interstellar transactions without human financial software. Core and heavy industries shut down production lines because human-trained engineers were no longer available. Elder Delmar called an emergency session of the Altarian Council. His world faced food shortages for the first time in centuries. We must contact the human refugees, Delmar argued. Our people are starting to starve. The Galactic Council forbids any contact with the evacuated humans, his assistant reminded him. The Galactic Council is not feeding our children. Delmar had always been a peaceful leader, but watching his people suffer changed his perspective. The Council's decision looked more foolish every day. Chancellor Vextar felt the first signs of political pressure. Representatives from member species demanded explanations for the growing crisis. The council chambers buzzed with angry voices. Food production is down 23%, the Altarian delegate reported. My people blame the council for this disaster. Industrial output has dropped 15% in Coran space, another delegate added. Our mining operations cannot function without human expertise. Trade revenue is falling across all sectors, the Viridian representative said. The humans were our most efficient partners. Vextar raised his hands for silence. These are temporary problems. The galaxy will adapt without human interference. How long will adaptation take? Delmar asked via video link. My world needs food now, not promises of future stability. The Council will provide emergency aid where necessary. With what resources? You destroyed our most productive trading relationships. The session ended with no solutions. Member species returned to their worlds angry and frustrated. The perfect victory was turning into a perfect disaster. In his private chambers, Vexatar reviewed intelligence reports about the human refugees. His spies had located some of the human settlements beyond Council space. The reports troubled him deeply. They are expanding rapidly, his intelligence chief reported. 15 new colonies in 3 months. Their technology appears to be advancing faster than before. How is that possible? Without Council restrictions, human researchers have unlimited freedom. They are developing new weapons, new ships, and new industrial processes. Vextar felt a chill in his blood. The Council had removed humans to prevent them from becoming too powerful. Instead, they had given humans complete freedom to grow without limits. Are they planning to return? Unknown, Chancellor, but their military strength is increasing daily. Vextar stared at the star charts showing human expansion. The refugees were no longer refugees. They were becoming something else, something potentially more dangerous than they had ever been under Council oversight. The galaxy was starting to realize that humans had not been the problem. They had been the solution to problems no one else knew how to solve. And now those problems were growing bigger every day. 1 year after the human evacuation, Admiral Jennifer Cole received her daily intelligence reports from across the galaxy. The news grew worse each week. She sat in her command center on New Terra, the largest human colony in the Kepler sector. What's the situation in Viridian space? Jennifer asked her intelligence officer. 3 more trade worlds have declared bankruptcy, Lieutenant Mark Johnson reported. Their shipping networks are completely broken without human logistics support. And the Korhan Empire? Mining operations down 60%. Their heavy machinery keeps breaking and no one knows how to fix it. Jennifer shook her head. The galaxy was falling apart faster than anyone had predicted. Even the humans were surprised by how quickly everything collapsed. Dr. Kevin Park worked in his medical research facility on Haven Colony. His team had developed treatments for diseases that killed millions across the galaxy each year. But now those treatments stayed locked in human laboratories. "We could save so many lives," Dr. Park told his research partner, Dr. Lisa Chang. "The Nexari plague could be cured with our new medicine." "The council made their choice," Lisa replied. "They wanted us gone. Now they live with the consequences." Kevin stared at the medical reports from council space. The Nexari plague had killed 2 million aliens in the past 6 months. His cure could stop it in weeks. But the council's ban on human contact meant those people would die. "This feels wrong," Kevin said. "We're doctors. We should help people." Those people cheered when we were forced to leave. They called us dangerous. Kevin understood Lisa's anger, but watching millions die still hurt his conscience. On the industrial world of Korhan Prime, Chief Engineer Braktol faced an impossible problem. The main power reactor for the planetary capital was failing. Only human technicians had known how to maintain the complex fusion systems. "How long until complete shutdown?" Braktol asked his team. 6 months at most," his assistant replied. "Maybe less if we get another power surge." "And how many people will lose power?" 50 million in the capital city alone. Braktol had helped design this reactor 20 years ago. He worked alongside human engineers who taught him everything about fusion technology. Now those humans were gone and his people would freeze in the dark. "Can we hire human technicians from the exile colonies?" "The council forbids any contact with the evacuated humans. The penalty is death." Braktol looked at the failing reactor readouts. His people would die anyway if the power failed. The council's rules felt meaningless compared to 50 million lives. In the Galactic Council chambers, Chancellor Vextar faced the worst crisis of his career. Angry delegates from across the galaxy demanded answers he could not provide. Food shortages on 30 agricultural worlds, the Altarian delegate reported. Crop diseases spread without human expertise to stop them. Power failures across Korhan space, another delegate added. Industrial production has collapsed to pre-spaceflight levels. Economic recession in all sectors, the Viridian representative said angrily. Unemployment rates hit 40% in some systems. Elder Delmar appeared on the main screen from Altair Prime. His usually calm face showed deep worry. "Chancellor, my people are starving. Children are dying from diseases that humans cured decades ago. This cannot continue." "The galaxy will adapt," Vextar replied weakly. "We survived before humans joined the council." "That was 3,000 years ago," Delmar shot back. "We cannot go backward now." War Chief Thraknon stood up from his seat. The massive Korhan warrior looked tired and frustrated. "My empire is crumbling," Thraknon growled. "My warriors guard empty factories and broken machines. This victory tastes like defeat." "The humans were a threat to galactic stability," Vextar insisted. "Were they? Or were they the foundation that held everything together?" The question hung in the air like poison. No one wanted to admit they had made a terrible mistake. Meanwhile, humanity continued to thrive in their new home. President Morrison toured the new Washington colony ship, now permanently settled on a green world they called Liberty. The colony had grown from a refugee camp to a thriving city in just 1 year. "Population report?" Morrison asked Governor Sandra Lee. 2 million, people on Liberty alone, Sandra replied. "We have 15 other colonies with similar populations. And production, food surplus of 20%. Manufacturing exceeds all our needs. Scientific research is advancing faster than ever." Morrison smiled with pride. Humanity had not just survived their exile. They had flourished beyond their wildest dreams. "What about military strength?" Morrison asked Admiral Jennifer Cole. "We have more warships now than when we left Earth," Jennifer reported. "Better ships, too. Our new technology is generations ahead of Council designs. Are we planning to return to Council space? No, sir. We're planning to expand in the opposite direction. There are hundreds of uninhabited systems spinward of our position. Morrison looked at the star charts showing human expansion. They had found their new destiny among the stars. The Council's exile had set them free. Back in Council space, the recession deepened into full collapse. The Viridian Trade Consortium filed for bankruptcy. 3 Korhan industrial worlds lost all power. The Altarian Food Distribution Network failed completely. Commerce Director Yithlan sat in his empty office watching the financial markets crash around him. His life's work had been destroyed by one political decision. Sir, we have an offer from the Outer Rim traders, his assistant reported. What kind of offer? They say they can provide shipping services to replace the human networks. Yithlan looked at the contract details. The prices were 3 times higher than human rates. The service quality was much lower, but it was better than nothing. Accept it, Yithlan said sadly. We have no choice. Similar compromises happened across the galaxy. Inferior services replaced human expertise at much higher costs. Quality of life dropped on every world. Medical care became more expensive and less effective. Food became scarce and costly. Transportation slowed to a crawl. The aliens who had cheered humanity's departure now cursed their own leaders. On Nexar Prime, riots broke out in the capital city. Hungry crowds demanded the government bring back the humans. Police used force to stop the protests, but more riots started every day. The people blame us for the food shortages, Interior Minister Kexnal reported to diplomat Quindal. They should blame the humans for leaving, Quindal replied. They know we forced the humans to leave. They remember who made this decision. Quindal felt the walls of her career crashing down. She had supported the evacuation to advance her political ambitions. Now those same ambitions might get her killed by angry mobs. What do the people want? They want human traders back. They want human doctors back. They want human engineers back. The Council will never allow that. Then the Council may not survive much longer. Similar conversations happened in government buildings across the galaxy. Public anger grew stronger each month. The Council's member species began questioning their loyalty to an organization that had destroyed their prosperity. Chancellor Vextar read the intelligence reports with growing dread. His perfect victory had become a perfect disaster. The humans were gone, but their absence was destroying everything the Council had built. What are our options? Vextar asked his senior staff. We could try to contact the human refugees, his aide suggested carefully. Absolutely not. We cannot show weakness. Then we face complete economic collapse within 2 years. Vextar stared out the window at the Zephyrian capital. Even his own homeworld showed signs of decline. Factories had closed. Trade ships no longer filled the orbital docks. The great Zephyrian civilization was slowly dying. The humans must be suffering too, Vextar said hopefully. Exile from their homeworld must have broken their spirit. His intelligence chief cleared, his throat nervously. Actually, sir, our scouts report that human colonies are thriving. Their population has grown by 30%. Their technology is advancing rapidly. That's impossible. They appear to be happier and more productive than they ever were under Council oversight. Vextar felt his world crashing down around him. He had not just failed to destroy humanity. He had made them stronger while destroying his own civilization. The Council's victory was becoming the galaxy's greatest defeat. 10 years after humanity's peaceful exodus from Earth, Captain Helen Ross commanded the Federation starship New Hope as it entered the Sol system. The yellow star looked the same as always, but everything else had changed completely. Long range. Sensors show no artificial structures, her science officer reported. Earth appears to be uninhabited. What about the orbital platforms? Gone, dismantled, or destroyed. The space around Earth is completely empty. Helen remembered the bustling traffic that once filled Earth's orbit. Thousands of ships carrying goods and passengers between the planets. Now she saw only empty space and dead satellites drifting in the solar wind. "Take us to Earth orbit," Helen ordered. The blue planet looked beautiful from space, but Helen's instruments told a different story. The great cities were dark. No radio signals came from the surface. Earth had become a ghost world. "Permission to land, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Commander Jake Davis, her planetary survey specialist. "Granted. Take a small team and assess the situation." Jake's shuttle touched down in what used to be New York City. Grass and weeds grew through the empty streets. Wild animals had claimed the abandoned buildings. Nature was slowly erasing all signs of human civilization. "It's like everyone just vanished," Jake reported over the comm. "No bodies, no battle damage, no signs of destruction. They just left everything behind and walked away." Helen felt a strange sadness looking at humanity's birth world. Her people had lived here for millions of years. Now Earth was just another empty planet in Federation space. "Any signs of Council presence?" "Negative. Looks like they abandoned this system years ago. Too expensive to maintain with no population to exploit." Helen was not surprised. The Council had wanted Earth's people gone, not Earth itself. An empty planet had no value to them. Meanwhile, in the ruins of the former Galactic Council headquarters, on Nexus Station, Chancellor Vexitar sat alone in his dark office. The power had been cut off months ago. Most of his staff had fled to Federation space or independent worlds. "Final report, Chancellor," his last remaining aide said, placing a data tablet on the desk. Vexitar read the numbers with hollow eyes. The Galactic Council now controlled exactly 3 star systems. 2 billion people remained under Council authority, down from over 5 trillion at the height of their power. And the humans? The Federation now spans 200 star systems, with over 20 billion citizens. Their technology is approximately 50 years ahead of our best capabilities. Vexitar laughed bitterly. "We tried to eliminate a threat and created a superpower instead. Sir, the Federation has sent another humanitarian aid offer. They're willing to provide food and medical supplies to our remaining worlds. Charity from the refugees we exiled," Vexitar said quietly. "How the mighty have fallen." "Should I accept their offer?" Vexitar stared out the window at the empty docking bays where mighty fleets once gathered. Pride had cost him everything. His people were starving, but accepting human help meant admitting his greatest failure. "No," Vexitar said finally. "We made our choice. We live with the consequences." The aide left quietly. Vexitar would rather watch his people die than accept help from the humans he had wronged. On the Federation capital world of Hope, President Morrison met with the Council of Species to discuss the galaxy's future. Representatives from 67 worlds filled the Great Assembly Hall. "The old Galactic Council is effectively extinct," reported Dr. Paul Turner, the Federation's chief diplomat. "Only 3 systems remain loyal to Chancellor Vexitar, and they won't last another year." "What about the independent worlds?" asked Elder Delmar, now serving as the Altarian representative to the Federation. "Most are doing well. They've established trade relationships with us and each other. The former Council territories are slowly rebuilding under local leadership." Morrison nodded with satisfaction. The galaxy was healing from the Council's collapse. New governments based on cooperation rather than domination were taking root across known space. "Any security concerns?" asked Admiral Jennifer Cole. "None. The Federation military is by far the strongest force in the galaxy. No one threatens our territory or our allies." Morrison looked around the diverse assembly. Humans, Altarians, Nexari, Viridians, and dozens of other species worked together as equals. The Federation had achieved what the Galactic Council never could: true cooperation between different civilizations. Dr. Michelle Adams presented her latest research findings to the Science Council on Discovery Station. Her breakthrough discoveries continued to advance Federation technology at an amazing rate. The new faster-than-light drive is ready for testing, Michelle announced. We can now travel between star systems in days instead of weeks. What about medical advances? Asked Dr. Kevin Park. We've developed treatments that can extend lifespans for any known species. Cancer, genetic diseases, even aging itself can be controlled or reversed. And our industrial capacity? Unlimited. Our automated factories can build anything we need. Food, medicine, ships, entire cities. Scarcity is becoming a thing of the past. The assembled scientists marveled at humanity's achievements. Without council restrictions, human innovation had exploded beyond all expectations. They were becoming the most advanced civilization in galactic history. Captain Frank Thompson's exploration fleets pushed deeper into the galactic rim, discovering new worlds and making contact with previously unknown species. The Federation's expansion continued in all directions. Survey report from the Delta sector? Morrison asked during his weekly briefing. 43 new habitable worlds confirmed, Frank reported via hologram. We've also made peaceful contact with 2 primitive civilizations. Both species are interested in Federation membership. Any signs of hostile forces? None. This entire region appears to be ours for the taking. Morrison smiled. The galaxy was vast and mostly empty. The Federation could expand for thousands of years without running out of room. Meanwhile, on the dying world of Zephyr Prime, the last remnants of Zephyrian civilization struggled to survive. Chancellor Vextar's government had collapsed months ago. Local warlords fought over the ruins while ordinary citizens fled to Federation refugee ships. Vextar himself had disappeared, presumably dead or in hiding. His grand vision of galactic order had died with him. The species that once ruled the stars now begged for food and shelter from their former subjects. The Korhan Empire fared even worse. War Chief Thraknor had died in a pointless battle against his own rebellious officers. The proud warrior culture that had conquered dozens of worlds now controlled only their frozen homeworld, where millions died each winter from lack of power and heat. They brought this on themselves, Admiral Hughes told Morrison as they reviewed reports from the former Council territories. Did they, though? Morrison asked. Or were they just following the natural path of any empire that grows too large and arrogant? You sound like you feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for their people. The leaders made the choices, but ordinary citizens paid the price. Hughes nodded. That was why the Federation continued sending humanitarian aid to suffering worlds, even those that had supported humanity's exile. They helped individuals, not governments. Dr. Roy Kim's terraforming teams had begun the slow process of restoring Earth's ecosystem. They planted new forests and cleaned the polluted rivers. Within a generation, humanity's birth world would be beautiful again. When will Earth be ready for resettlement? Morrison asked during his visit to the restoration project. Another 10 years for basic infrastructure, Roy reported. 20 years for full ecological recovery. And will people want to return? Some will, for historical and emotional reasons, but most Federation citizens are happy on their new worlds. Earth will probably become a memorial and research center rather than a major population center. Morrison understood. Humanity had outgrown their cradle world. They were now a galactic civilization with interests spanning hundreds of star systems. Earth was their past, but the Federation was their future. The final accounting was clear. The Galactic Council had tried to remove humanity to make the galaxy safer and more stable. Instead, they had removed the foundation that held their civilization together. Without human traders, their economy collapsed. Without human engineers, their technology failed. Without human doctors, their people died from preventable diseases. Without human diplomats, their alliances fell apart. The council had been like a man who cut down a tree because he disliked its fruit, not realizing the tree's roots held the soil together. When the tree died, the entire hillside washed away in the first storm. Humanity had learned something important from their exile. Sometimes the greatest victory came not from fighting, but from simply walking away. They had left behind their enemies and found freedom among the stars. The galaxy had learned a harder lesson. Some problems cannot be solved by force or politics. Some contributions cannot be replaced once they are lost. And some mistakes are too big to survive. The Galactic Council had paid the ultimate price for their arrogance. They had eliminated themselves while trying to eliminate humanity. And in the end, that was exactly what they deserved. 8 years after humanity's exile, the Galactic Council finally cracked apart like an old ship in a storm. The breaking point came when the Nexari formally withdrew their membership and applied to join the Free Terran Federation. Diplomat Quindal stood before the Council Assembly for the last time. Her once proud species had suffered through plague, famine, and economic collapse. Only human aid had kept her people alive. The Nexari Republic hereby dissolves its membership in the Galactic Council, Quindal announced. We choose to align ourselves with the Federation, which has shown us more kindness in 1 year than this council showed in 3 centuries. Chancellor Vexitar's face turned darker blue with rage. You cannot abandon the council that created galactic civilization. What civilization? Quindal shot back. Half your member worlds are starving. The other half have no power or basic services. This council has become a monument to failure. War Chief Thraknor stood up from his seat, his 4 massive arms clenched into fists. The Korhan Empire stands with the Council. We will not bow to human refugees. Then you will stand alone, Quindal replied coldly. My people choose survival over pride. The Nexari withdrawal triggered an avalanche. Within days, 12 other species announced their intention to leave the Council. The Altarians, led by Elder Delmar, were the first to follow. We cannot watch our children starve while human aid sits just beyond our reach, Delmar announced to his planetary council. The Federation offers us hope. The Galactic Council offers us only continued suffering. The Viridian Trade Consortium collapsed entirely when half their member worlds declared independence. Commerce Director Yithlan had been right to defect years earlier. Those who stayed loyal to the Council now faced bankruptcy and social unrest. On Korhan Prime, Chief Engineer Braktol watched his homeworld slide into darkness. The main power reactor had finally failed completely. 50 million Korhans faced winter without heat or light. The human technicians could fix this in days, Braktol told War Chief Thraknor. We do not need human help, Thraknor growled. Korhans solve their own problems. With what? Our cities are freezing. Our factories are closed. Our people are fleeing to Federation space by the thousands. Then they are cowards and traitors. Braktol stared at his leader with disgust. Thraknor would rather let his people die than admit the humans had been valuable allies instead of enemies. I resign from your service, Braktol said quietly. I will not watch genocide disguised as pride. That night, Braktol joined a refugee convoy heading for Federation space. His engineering knowledge would be welcome there. His people would freeze, but at least he would not freeze with them. The exodus from Council space accelerated. Scientists, doctors, engineers, traders, and ordinary families abandoned their homeworlds for the promise of a better life in the Federation. Ships packed with alien refugees crossed the border daily. President Morrison met with the Federation Council to discuss the crisis. Representatives from 47 human worlds and 12 alien species gathered in the Assembly Hall on Hope. We're receiving 2 million asylum requests per week, reported Director of Immigration Lucy Chen. Our processing centers are overwhelmed. What's our capacity for integration? Morrison asked. Unlimited, sir. We have hundreds of empty worlds ready for colonization. The real question is whether we want this many former council citizens. Governor, Martinez spoke up from his seat. These aren't council citizens anymore. They're refugees seeking freedom. We should judge them as individuals, not by their old governments. Admiral Hughes nodded in agreement. Our intelligence shows most of these refugees opposed their leaders' decisions. They were victims, not perpetrators. Morrison made the decision quickly. Accept all genuine asylum seekers, expand our processing centers, build new colonies if necessary. The Federation stands for freedom and opportunity. We won't turn away people who seek those things. Meanwhile, Chancellor Vextar watched his empire crumble from his command ship above the Zephyrian homeworld. Half the Council's member species had defected. The other half teetered on the edge of collapse. Status report, Vextar demanded from his aide. 18 systems have declared independence this month. Food riots continue on 43 worlds. Industrial production is down 80% across all remaining territories. And our military strength? War Chief Thraknor commands perhaps 5,000 functional warships. The rest have been scrapped for parts or abandoned. Vextar remembered the 50,000 ships that had surrounded Earth 8 years ago. His mighty fleet had dissolved like sugar in rain. Ships needed maintenance, fuel, and crew. Without a functioning economy, none of those things were available. What about the humans? Are they planning to invade? No, sir. Federation forces remain in their own space. They show no signs of aggressive expansion toward our territory. This puzzled Vextar more than anything else. The Federation now had superior numbers and technology. They could easily conquer the remaining Council worlds. Instead, they ignored their former oppressors completely. Dr. Paul Turner served as the Federation's chief diplomat. He received dozens of desperate messages from Council worlds begging for aid, trade agreements, or simple recognition. Each request was politely declined. The Federation has no interest in Council politics, Turner's standard reply stated. We focus our resources on expansion and exploration in unclaimed space. This policy frustrated many alien leaders. They had expected humanity to seek revenge. Instead, humans acted as if the Council no longer existed. The complete indifference was somehow more insulting than open hostility would have been. On Zephyr Prime, Chancellor Vextar's own people began demanding his resignation. The beautiful capital city had become a ruin of closed shops and empty buildings. The proud Zephyrian civilization was dying slowly. The humans are willing to negotiate, his foreign minister reported. Their diplomats would meet with you to discuss humanitarian aid. Never, Vextar snapped. I will not beg help from refugees. Sir, our people are starving. Pride will not feed them. Then they can starve with dignity. But dignity meant nothing to parents watching their children grow weak from hunger. Dignity meant nothing to workers whose factories had closed permanently. Dignity meant nothing to patients dying from diseases that human medicine could easily cure. The final blow came when Vextar's own military turned against him. Admiral Krez-Han, his most trusted commander, appeared on all communication channels with a simple announcement. The Zephyrian Defense Force hereby dissolves its loyalty to Chancellor Vextar and the failed Galactic Council. We call for immediate surrender and humanitarian intervention by the Federation. War Chief Thraknor tried to rally the remaining loyalist forces. His Korhan fleets attacked 3 defecting systems, but his ships were old and poorly maintained. The brief civil war ended with crushing defeats for the loyalist forces. Within 6 months, the Galactic Council controlled only 7 star systems. Former member species either joined the Federation or formed their own independent governments. The 3,000-year-old institution that had once ruled the galaxy became a historical footnote. Captain Helen Ross led a Federation patrol near the old Council border. Her sensors detected a small fleet of refugee ships fleeing the final collapse. Should we offer assistance? Her tactical officer asked. Signal them that they're welcome in Federation space, Helen replied. But don't approach. Let them make their own choice. The refugee ships continued toward Federation territory. Helen watched them go with mixed feelings. These aliens had once cheered humanity's exile. Now they fled to human protection as their own worlds fell apart. Any word from the Council remnant? Helen asked her communications officer. Chancellor Vexitar broadcast a final message yesterday. He blamed everyone except himself for the collapse. Then his transmission cut off permanently. Helen nodded sadly. Pride and stubbornness had destroyed a galactic civilization. The Council's leaders had chosen to rule over ruins rather than admit their mistakes. Set course for the exploration sector, Helen ordered. We have new worlds to survey. The Federation moved forward into unknown space while the Council's remnants fought over the ashes of their former empire. History would remember the Galactic Council as a cautionary tale about the price of arrogance and prejudice. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, humanity continued to build something better than what they had lost. President Jake Morrison sat in the Oval Office with his top advisors. The room felt heavy with tension. Outside, protesters gathered on the White House lawn. Some demanded war. Others begged for peace. General Carl Peterson spread star charts across the large table. His weathered hands pointed to different systems beyond Council space. We have 3 options, Peterson said. Fight and die, surrender and scatter, or find somewhere new to go together. Admiral Tony Garcia nodded grimly. Our scouts found empty systems past the outer rim. No Council presence. We could survive there. Morrison looked at each face around the table. These people had served Earth faithfully for years. Now they faced an impossible choice. What does the simulation say? Morrison asked. Dr. Sarah Kim activated her tablet. Numbers and graphs filled the screen. She had run the battle scenarios hundreds of times. If we fight, we lose 98% of our population in the first day, Sarah said quietly. The Council's weapons are too advanced. Their ships are too many. And if we run? 60% survival rate, maybe 70% if we move. Fast. The room went silent. Morrison closed his eyes and thought about his daughter. She was only 8 years old. She deserved a chance to grow up. We leave, Morrison said finally. All of us. Together. General Peterson looked shocked. Sir, we have never backed down from a fight. This isn't backing down, Morrison replied. This is choosing to live. Across the galaxy, Chancellor Vexitar waited in his command ship. The massive vessel hung in space beyond Pluto's orbit. Around him, 50,000 warships formed perfect battle lines. Vexitar expected human defiance. He had studied their history. Humans fought the Romans. They fought the Nazis. They fought each other for thousands of years. Fighting was what humans did. Any response from Earth? Vexitar asked his aide. Nothing yet, Chancellor. But their defense. Fleets are moving. Vexitar smiled with his thin blue lips. Good. War Chief Thraknon grows restless. His warriors need battle. On the bridge of his flagship, Thraknon sharpened his ceremonial blade. The Korhan warrior had conquered 12 species. Humans would be lucky number 13. How long until they attack? Thraknon asked his officers. Unknown, War Chief. Human military patterns are confusing, Thraknon growled. Humans had strange tactics. They used tricks and deception, but tricks would not save them from overwhelming force. Back on Earth, Captain, Amy Sullivan coordinated the massive evacuation. Her headquarters buzzed with activity day and night. Officers worked without sleep. Computer screens showed ship movements across the solar system. Status report? Amy called out. Lieutenant Alex Johnson read from his tablet. Colony ships are loading civilians at Luna Base. Cargo vessels are taking supplies from Mars, the asteroid. Miners are heading home. How many people have we moved? 2 million so far. We need to move 12 billion more. Amy rubbed her tired eyes. The math was simple and terrifying. They had 28 days left. At their current rate, most humans would still be on Earth when time ran out. Dr. Sarah Kim worked frantically in her command center. The Exodus project had seemed impossible when she designed it. Now it was their only hope. We need more ships. Sarah told Captain Ryan Davis over the comm. I'm trying, Ryan replied. Every merchant vessel in human space is coming home, even the old junkers. It's not enough. Then we make it enough. Ryan's merchant fleet worked miracles. Passenger liners designed for luxury trips now packed refugees into every corner. Cargo haulers removed their loading equipment to make room for people. Even small personal yachts carried families to safety. Captain Danny Clark supervised the orbital platforms. His engineering teams worked around the clock. They stripped everything valuable from Earth's space stations: metal, computers, food processors, medical equipment. Nothing would be left for the Council. "This feels wrong," one of his engineers said. "Like we're robbing our own home." "We're saving what we can," Danny replied. "The Council can have empty buildings. We're taking everything that matters." On the planet below, the evacuation moved faster than anyone thought possible. Families lined up at spaceports with single suitcases. They left behind houses, cars, photo albums, and pets. But they took their children and their hope. News crews filmed the endless lines of refugees. Reporter Kate Wilson stood outside New York Spaceport as ships took off every few minutes. "This is unlike anything in human history," Kate said into her camera. 12 billion people leaving their homeworld. No panic, no riots, just quiet determination. The images spread across the galaxy. Alien news networks showed human families boarding ships. Children held their parents' hands. Old people helped each other walk. Everyone stayed calm. In the Altarian capital, Elder Delmar watched the broadcasts with growing amazement. His people had studied human psychology for decades. Humans were supposed to be violent and emotional, but these refugees showed discipline that impressed even the peaceful Altarians. "Look at them," Delmar told his staff. "They face extinction with dignity." His aide shifted uncomfortably. "The Council says humans are dangerous." The Council may be wrong. On the Viridian Trade World's Commerce Director Yithlan also watched the human evacuation. His people had made fortunes trading with humans. Human merchants were honest and reliable. Their engineers built things that lasted for centuries. "We are losing valuable partners," Yithlan told his business council. "The Chancellor says humans threaten galactic peace." "I have traded with humans for 30 years. They threaten only inefficiency and dishonesty." But the Council had decided. The Viridians could only watch as their best trading partners prepared to leave forever. Back in the Sol system, something unexpected happened. The human military did not prepare for battle. Instead, Earth's warships began helping with the evacuation. Captain Beth Torres commanded a heavy cruiser. Her ship was designed to fight alien invaders. Now it carried refugee families to the outer colonies. "This is not what I trained for," her weapons officer complained. "We trained to protect human lives," Beth replied. "That's exactly what we're doing. The Council's spy networks reported this strange behavior. Human warships were not taking battle positions. They were not arming their weapons. They were running passenger missions." Chancellor Vextar read the reports with growing confusion. "Are the humans planning some trick?" "Unknown, Chancellor. Their actions make no tactical sense. War Chief Thraknon paced his bridge like a caged animal." "This is wrong. Humans should be screaming for war. They should be sending threats and demands." Instead, Earth sent a simple message. President Morrison appeared on all frequencies. His voice was calm and clear. "To the Galactic Council," Morrison said, "we accept your terms. Humanity will leave the Sol system within 30 days. We ask only for safe passage to the Outer Rim. We seek no conflict with the Council or its member species." The message ended. No threats, no demands, no desperate pleas for mercy, just acceptance. Chancellor Vextar stared at the screen in disbelief. In 3,000 years of galactic politics, no species had ever surrendered so completely. Most fought. To the last warrior, others begged for reduced terms. Humans simply agreed and started packing. "This is too easy," Vextar told his staff. "Humans are planning something." But as the days passed, the human plan became clear. They were planning to leave. All of them. peacefully and efficiently. The Council had expected a glorious war. Instead, they got the most boring victory in galactic history, and somehow that made them more nervous than any battle would have. Admiral Lisa Martinez stood at the large window of the New Geneva space station. She watched the stars shine in the darkness. Behind her, the communication room buzzed with activity. Officers moved between computer screens. They all looked worried. Lisa had been Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for 5 years. She thought she understood how alien politics worked. She was wrong. The message came at 800 hours Earth time. The Council's seal appeared on every screen in the station. Chancellor Vexistar's blue face filled the main display. His 3 eyes looked cold and angry. Humans of Earth, Vextar spoke in his mechanical voice. The Galactic Council has made a decision. You have 30 standard days to leave your home system. Take your people and go. Do not return. Lisa felt her heart stop. Around her, human, officers stared at the screen in shock. Lieutenant Jake Morrison dropped his coffee cup. The hot liquid splashed across the floor. The Council finds humanity guilty of aggressive expansion, Vextar continued. Your species spreads too fast. You take too many risks. You threaten galactic peace. We will not allow this to continue. The message showed images of human colonies, ships carrying families to new worlds, cities being built on distant planets. The Council made it all look dangerous and wrong. You have corrupted other species with your reckless ways, the Chancellor said. The Altarians copy your farming methods. The Viridians use your trade routes. This ends now. War Chief Thraknon appeared next to Vextar. The massive Korhan warrior had scars across his face. His forearms held different weapons. He smiled, showing sharp teeth. 50,000 warships surround your system, Thraknon growled. My fleets wait for your answer. Fight us, and we will destroy every human world. Leave peacefully, and you may live somewhere else. The transmission ended. Silence filled the communication room. Lisa activated her secure channel to Earth. President. Jake Morrison's face appeared on her screen within minutes. Dark circles showed under his eyes. His gray hair looked messy. Lisa, tell me you have good news, Morrison said. No, sir. They mean it. I can see their ships from here. Thousands of them. On Earth, Dr. Nathan Brooks sat in his laboratory. He studied alien biology for the government. His computer showed the Council's message. Nathan had worked with many alien species. He thought they respected humans. He was wrong, too. Nathan called Captain Amy Sullivan at Defense Command. Amy commanded Earth's space forces. She was a good soldier, but she knew the truth. Earth had maybe 200 warships. The Council had 50,000. Nathan, we cannot fight this, Amy said over the phone. Our weapons are no match for theirs. Our shields are too weak. They would destroy us in hours. So what do we do? I don't know. Across the galaxy, the Council members celebrated. On the Nexari homeworld, Diplomat Quindal raised a glass of purple wine. Her people had always feared human unpredictability. Finally, she told her staff, the humans will learn their place. The Zephyrian council chambers buzzed with excitement. Chancellor Vextar received praise from other council members. They called him wise and strong. But some aliens felt different. On Altair Prime, Elder Delmar read the ultimatum with sad eyes. His people had learned so much from humans. Human farmers had saved Altarian crops from disease. Human doctors had cured Altarian children. This is wrong, Delmar told his aide. Humans have helped us greatly. The Council has decided, his aide replied. We must obey. Back on the New Geneva station, Lisa worked through the night. She sent messages to every human colony. Warning signals went out to merchant ships. Emergency protocols activated across human space. Dr. Sarah Kim arrived from Earth on the next transport. She directed the Exodus Project, Earth's plan for emergencies. Sarah had never expected to use her evacuation plans. "How many people do we need to move?" Sarah asked Lisa. 12 billion from Earth alone. Maybe 15 billion total from all human worlds. Sarah's face went pale. "That's impossible. We don't have enough ships." "We have to try." Captain Ryan Davis commanded the merchant fleet. His ships carried trade goods between worlds. Now they would carry people instead. Ryan met with other ship captains in the station's main hall. Freighter pilots, passenger liner commanders, even small cargo haulers attended the meeting. "The government is asking for volunteers," Ryan told them. "This won't be easy. Some of us might not make it." An old captain named Bill Turner stood up. His ship was small and old, but it still flew. "My grandfather left Earth once before," Bill said. "He went to Mars when it was just dirt and rocks. I can take people somewhere new, too." Other captains nodded. They would help. On Earth, General Carl Peterson coordinated with Admiral Tony Garcia. They had to protect the evacuation ships. The Council's fleets waited just outside the solar system. Thraknon's warriors were ready for battle. "If they attack during the evacuation," Peterson said, "we cannot stop them. Then we make sure they don't attack," Garcia replied. The news spread across Earth quickly. Television broadcasts showed crying families. People packed their belongings. Some humans were angry. They wanted to fight. Others were scared. They just wanted to live. In the Galactic Council chambers, the alien leaders watched human news feeds. They expected riots. They expected humans to prepare for war. They expected violence and chaos. Instead, they saw something different. Human leaders appeared on television. They spoke calmly. They told people to stay strong. They promised that humanity would survive. President Morrison gave a speech from the White House. His voice was steady and clear. "We will not fight a war we cannot win," he said. "We will not throw away human lives for pride. We will leave Earth, but we will not disappear. Humanity will find a new home among the stars." The Council members looked confused. Where was the human anger? Where was their famous stubbornness? Chancellor Vextar frowned. "They accept our demands too easily. Humans do not give up without a fight." War Chief Thraknon growled with disappointment. "I wanted a glorious battle. My warriors are ready for war, not watching empty space." But the evacuation had already begun. The first ships left Earth's orbit carrying refugees to safety. The humans were leaving without a fight. The Council had won, or so they thought. None of them understood what they had really done. They had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history.